So hello then, welcome back to another Night of the Movies video. I'm of course Spike Knight, and in these videos I love talking all things movies and TV and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's video I am reviewing The War Between the Land and the Sea. So let's get into it, shall we? The War Between the Land and the Sea is this new limited series created by Russel T. Davies. Russell T. Davies, who is the person behind such critically acclaimed and great TV shows as It's a Sin, which is a really fantastic piece of TV, Queer as Folk, which a lot of people love, the first series of a very English scandal, which is really good, Nolly, which is a surprisingly good limited TV series, Years and Years, which I liked but didn't love, and he also was the person behind the David Tennant era of Doctor Who. Well, the Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant era. He left when David Tennant left, but he was the person behind that era, which so many people consider the best era of Doctor Who. Not everybody considers it the best era of Doctor Who, granted, but a lot of people do. And alongside doing Doctor Who, he also did other Doctor Who spin-offs during that time, such as The Sarah Jane Adventures. He was a showrunner on that show. I'm pretty sure he was. He was a person who made it happen anyway. And I remember really enjoying it when I was at a much younger age. And he also was the person behind the TV show Torchwood, which I have seen the first 3 series of. I started watching the 4th series, but for some reason I stopped. I can't remember why I stopped. But he was the person behind the 3rd series of Torchwood, which in my opinion is probably one of the best things he's ever written. That series is Torchwood Children of Earth, which is an amazing piece of TV. Like, really amazing, surprisingly amazing. I didn't think it would be that good, and because I wasn't big on the first 2 series of Torchwood. I thought they were good, but I just didn't think they were great. And then watching that 3rd series, it was like there was a completely new writers team, you know what I mean? And yeah, I love Torchwood Children of Earth. And that was, you know, Torchwood was like the last Doctor Who spin-off he did. I think he was still writing Torchwood after he left the showrunner, after he first left being the showrunner on Doctor Who. But as you might have heard a couple of years back, Russell T. Davies returned to showrun Doctor Who with the 60th anniversary specials, which consisted of David Tennant and Catherine Tate returning in their roles. And he stuck around. He was also the showrunner during the first 2, well, the only 2, Ncuti Gatwa series of Doctor Who. He's now left as a Doctor, but Russell T. Davies was a showrunner during that era. And during that era, he also came up with this show, The War Between the Land and the Sea, which is a Doctor Who spin-off, but also kind of isn't. There isn't really much connections, there isn't really many connections to Doctor Who in this series. I mean, sure, you got the Sea Devils in there, and the Sea Devils have been in Doctor Who like a big villain in the world of Doctor Who, but they're not the same sort of Sea Devils that you see in Doctor Who. There's a new design on them, and there are mentions of the Doctor in this show. There are mentions, it's not a spoiler, because you know, it's not a big spoiler, that there's mentions of the Doctor in this show, but that's about it. If you haven't seen Doctor Who, if you haven't seen the latest 2 seasons of Doctor Who as well, you don't need to watch it to watch this show, and I actually think that's one of its big merits. So yes, this is a Doctor Who spin-off, but also it kind of isn't. And this show, like I said, Russell T. Davies came up with it, and I think he was making it during the Ncuti Gatwa era of Doctor Who. But since that era has ended, and since it divided a lot of fans, it feels like they haven't been marketing this TV show, they haven't been marketing The War Between the Land and the Sea as a Doctor Who spin-off. And so I kind of forgot it was coming out, in all honesty. And I heard it was coming out in early 2026, and then I think about a month ago, they said, actually, no, it's going to come out in a couple of weeks. And that's exactly what happened. It came out late 2025, and just yesterday, the last episode came out. It's only 5 episodes long. It's only 5 episodes long, and it marks the end of BBC's deal to do with Doctor Who with Disney. So, you know, BBC, when Ncuti Gatwa became the Doctor, they signed a deal with Disney, and that meant that all the Ncuti Gatwa Doctor Who episodes were going to be on Disney+, but now that deal has ended. However, this is the last part of that deal. So, what you get in the show is quite a big budget. You get, yes, quite a big budget when it comes to this series. And the Google plot synopsis for the show goes as follows. When a fearsome and ancient species emerges from the ocean, dramatically revealing themselves to humanity, an international crisis is triggered. With the entire population at risk, unit steps into action. Yes, unit steps into action as the land and sea wage war. And that's pretty much all you need to know about the series before seeing it. And like I said, it's kind of a Doctor Who spin-off. It's got some ties to Doctor Who. Unit, which is like the big military force that is always watching out for aliens on Earth. They are in the show. They play quite a big part in the show. But again, if you have not seen Doctor Who, if you have not seen any of Doctor Who, or if you have not seen recent Doctor Who, you won't be confused if you watch this show. It does not feel like a Doctor Who spin-off and has very little ties to Doctor Who. It very much exists on its own 2 feet. And honestly, I thought this show was great. I really liked it. And I'm really surprised to be saying that. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because Russel Davies is a great writer. But with Doctor Who, with the Ncuti Gatwa era of Doctor Who, I thought that he had some missteps. And I didn't love how everything came together in Ncuti Gatwa's last series. I mean, I'm somebody who actually is a big fan of the second series where Ncuti Gatwa was the Doctor, but I also thought that it could have been better. And I thought that, yeah, Russel Davies' writing over the past couple of years with Doctor Who could have been better as a whole. So I honestly didn't really know what to expect when he came round, when I heard that he was writing this show, which is another sci-fi TV show. Again, it's kind of a Doctor Who spin-off, but not really. So when I heard that he was writing this show, I was like, is it going to be the same sort of writing as the last 2 series of Doctor Who? Because I kind of want the writing to be better. I mean, I don't kind of want it to be better. I really want it to be better because I'm a big Doctor Who fan. You know, I'm somebody who grew up with Doctor Who with the David Tennant era. Well, actually, first grew up with it with the Christopher Eccleston era. But then I fell in love with Doctor Who with the David Tennant era. And then I also enjoyed the first series of Matt Smith. But again, I've spoken about that on the channel in the past. The point I'm making is I wanted Doctor Who to be better in the last 2 series. And this series, which again isn't really a Doctor Who spin-off but can visit at the same time, this series reminded me of how good Russel Davies' writing can be when it comes to sci-fi TV. Because he puts the drama first, and I think he does that so well. In this series, the characters are interesting, the relationships between the characters are compelling, and the series has something to say. So not only is it very entertaining, it's also got something to say about the world we are living in right now. It is timely and in a way which works in its favour, in a way that doesn't beat you over the head trying to give you a message. No, the message of the series is actually really well interweaved into the narrative. You know, you see the Sea Devils. I mean, they're not really the Sea Devils. They call them the what they call them? Oh, is it Aqua? What's it called? Homo Aqua, that's what they call them in the show. You see the Homo Aqua creatures. I think that's what they call them. Apologies if I'm wrong. You see them in this show. They come out and, what am I trying to say here? They're saying that their world is being ruined because of the climate crisis, essentially. And so you have this strong message and these themes surrounding the climate crisis, surrounding environmental issues that are happening in the world right now that are very well interweaved in the show, and that are really done well, and that means that the show has something to say, and that doesn't make it sound like the most exciting show. You know, saying that a TV series is about the environment may not sound like it's going to be the most exciting thing or the most entertaining thing, but actually this series manages to do both. It manages to send out a strong, powerful message about climate change, about, you know, the environmental issues to do with the sea that are happening in the world right now. Hammers home those messages, but it's also really great television. Like I said, the characters are great, the relationships are great, the performances are so strong. Russell Tovey, man alive, what an actor. I mean, he has been in Doctor Who before. He has been in the Doctor Who world, should I say, because again, this isn't really tied to Doctor Who too much, but he was in the 2007 Christmas special of Doctor Who, which was on the Titanic. if anyone remembers that one, you know, the one with Kylie Minogue. He was one of the he was one of the ship men in that episode, and he doesn't play the same character in this series, which is not unheard of, by the way. That does sometimes happen in Doctor Who. A character who hasn't been in Doctor Who for a while comes back in a spin-off or in the main show, and they're playing the same character they played before. But that's not the case here, and he is brilliant in the lead because he's got the same charisma and that same sort of magnetic energy that the Doctor has, but he's kind of the opposite to the Doctor, because the Doctor, when you see him on screen, he's always got a plan, or always got a plan. You know, the Doctor, when you see them on screen, they've always got a plan, and you know that they're going to save the day. You just know it's coming, but you're not quite sure how it's going to happen, you know? Whilst in this series, Russel Tovey playing the lead, what's his character's name again? I just forgot it off the top of my head, I don't want to remember it. Barclay, yes, I can't believe I forgot his name, by the way, because I literally just finished watching the show. But anyway, Barclay, when you see him on screen, he's got a plan in parts, but he's also fumbling about, and he's not the smartest person. But, again, Russel Tovey plays him in such a way that I thoroughly enjoyed whenever that character was on screen, and also it helped that the character was written well. Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who has been in plenty of films and TV shows over the past couple of years, and who I think was also in the David Tennant era of Doctor Who. I think she played one of Martha's sisters, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken, by the way, but I think she did. Anyway, she's in this show, again, not playing the same character that I think she played in the David Tennant era of Doctor Who, and she plays Salt, who is the main Homo Aqua creature that we follow in the show. And she is also really good. You know, she plays the guardedness of her character well. Is that even a word, guardedness? Oh, you know what I mean. She plays the guardedness of her character well, and she also plays the fun elements of her character well. You know, she's clearly having fun playing this character. And I will say, whenever she came on screen, I couldn't tell if some of her character was CGI or not. Like, the CGI in this is that good surrounding the Homo Aqua creatures. I couldn't actually tell. You know, it looked that impressive. And yeah, I thought she was great. And I also thought that Colin McFarlane was really good as well. Now, he's not in a lot of this show, but he was in Torchwood Children of Earth, one of the Doctor Who spin-offs from, I want to say, 2010. And he plays the same character in this show that he played in Torchwood Children of Earth. But again, you don't need to watch Torchwood Children of Earth to understand who his character is. You don't need to, although you should watch Torchwood Children of Earth. It's a fantastic piece of television. But still, you don't need to understand his character. You don't need to have watched that show, watch Torchwood Children of Earth, in order to understand his character in this show, if you follow me. But at the same time, his character, every time he's on screen, I'm like, yes, what a guy. I mean, just the way he speaks, he's got such a voice. I mean, honestly, that guy should be announcing things left, right, and centre. I mean, I want that guy to be narrating my life. He's got such a voice, and every time he's on screen, he commands the screen because of his voice, and well, not only because of his voice, but also because of his performance and because of the way that character is written. Plus, Kate Lethbridge Stewart, who is quite a key character in the world of Doctor Who, also plays a big role in this show. And yet again, though, you don't need to know who she is before watching the show. Although she's been in Doctor Who in the past, you don't need to know who she is before. If you haven't seen Doctor Who, you won't be confused as to who she is. They explain and they set up her character pretty well when you get to this show. And she gets her moments to shine in so many moments. I mean, yeah, they really gave Kate Lethbridge her time in the sun. She gets some pretty good moments in Doctor Who as a whole, but in this show, you see her full range. You see her as the head of unit really coming into play. And I thought, yeah, the Kate Lethbridge character and Gemma Redgrave, who played her, did an absolutely fantastic job. I'm now very interested to see where they take that character in the future. Not to go into spoilers there, but I'm very interested to see where they take that character in the future. Especially with the way her character is left in this show. And again, the show is really entertaining. I do think the title of the show is slightly misleading because it says The War Between the Land and the Sea. So you might be going into the show thinking, oh great, there's going to be battles and there's going to be loads of guns firing all over the place and there's going to be you know, the sea creatures fighting with tridents against the humans, and it's like, you don't really get that. I mean, there's a couple of action sequences in this series as a whole, and they're done well, but this show is more about the political side to the war between the land and the sea. It's more about these war games that the Homo aqua creatures and that the humans are playing with one another, you know? And I do think that's done really well. I just, you know, set your expectations when it says the war between the land and the sea. There ain't much war, or there ain't much war in the sense you might be expecting, you know? And I thought that the actual political stuff was done well. And again, I'm not somebody who's really into like political court dramas by any means. There's so much I absolutely love, for sure, but I'm not massively into them. There's sometimes when they don't really work for me and I just end up being bored by them. But the thing is, all the political stuff in the courtroom in this series is done very well. And again, it's compelling. That's the thing about the writing in this show. It, like I said before, it's a sci-fi TV show, for sure. But it's also putting drama first, and that is one of the big reasons it works, because you care about the characters. The writing is good, and it's poignant at times. It hits you where it needs to. And there's so many parts of the series which work so well. The musical score, which I think is by Lorne Balfe, who at least did the main theme to the show. Lorne Balfe is a composer who does, you know, a lot of like Hans Zimmer type musical scores. He did the scores to some of the Mission Impossible movies, and it really makes his main theme to the show. Again, I'm not sure if he did the whole entire musical score, but his main theme to the show really makes the show feel epic in scale as well, and it is. This is an epic TV show, you know. Clearly the Disney money, which, because this is the end of the Disney deal on Doctor Who with the BBC, clearly the Disney money has been put into the show, and, you know, it's the whole thing in Jurassic Park. We spared no expense. That's what John Hammond's character keeps saying in Jurassic Park. Spared no expense, and when you get to the show, you see that. There is no expense spared, and I mean that in the best way. I love how epic this show felt, and actually at times it felt a little epic than the last couple of seasons of Doctor Who. And I'm comparing to Doctor Who a bit, by the way, because it is kind of a Doctor Who spin-off, but also because that was the last thing Russel Davies wrote. You know, that was the last thing Russel Davies worked on, and so I'm going to be comparing. And I do think that Russel Davies is writing, because he wrote the first 2 episodes and he's a showrunner on this show. I do think that his writing and his showrunning is actually better in the show than it was in the last couple of seasons of Doctor Who. Which is a little bit sad to say, because Doctor Who's Doctor Who, you know what I mean? It's a show, it's a huge part of our lives, a huge part of British culture, British pop culture, and the British zeitgeist, you know? But still, that's not also necessarily a bad thing, because it means that this show will probably get a lot more attention, because again, the writing is good. I do think the word of mouth will get more people to watch the show as time goes on. Yeah, again, I have my problems here and there. I'm not saying it all works 100%, and there are some things in the last episode which I thought could have been better. Just a couple of little bits here and there. But the last episode stuck the landing, in my opinion. It stuck the landing very well. And the whole series, I was pretty damn gripped by, and very engaged by, not only entertainment wise but also emotionally. I really cared about the characters, and even cared about this sort of Romeo and Juliet romance that started to develop in this series. And I didn't think I'd care about that. I really didn't, because I didn't care about that sort of romance in The Shape of Water when I watched that film, but I cared about it when it came to this series, and it's the same sort of thing as The Shape of Water, but I actually thought it was done better in the series. And again, it's just, I had a blast watching this show. And I was also taken aback by it. It's got these strong messages about what's going on in the world right now. It's timely, but not in a way that beats you over the head. In a way that works. In a way that just, you can't help but sink your teeth into, you know? Oh, God, it's a great, great TV show. Not quite as good as Torchwood Children of Earth, in my opinion. I do think that's the best of the Doctor Who spin-offs. If you were to also call this Doctor Who spin-off, which let's call it for the sake of this bit of the video, but this bit of my video, yeah, I don't think it quite reaches the heights of Torchwood Children of Earth, which I still think is the best Doctor Who adjacent show, but it is very reminiscent of that show in all the right ways, and it's a really, really solid piece of television, you know? You sit there, you watch it, and you go, yes, I'm just getting into this in all the ways that in all the ways you want to, you know, and it really helps you have a charismatic lead and some other great supporting characters and supporting performances that make for an all-round compelling and very engaging viewing experience. I loved The War Between the Land and the Sea. I almost hesitate saying that, but no, I loved The War Between the Land and the Sea, and that's why I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Again, it's not without its issues. I'm not going to sit here and say it's 100% perfect. There's something which happens, I want to say, in episode 2, or there might be in episode 3, and they quickly recover from that. It's in episode 2. Now, I'm not going to spoil what it is, because it's quite a big plot point in the series, but something happens and you go, okay, how are they going to recover from that? How are the human characters going to recover from that? And then it's kind of swept under the rug really quickly. And there were a couple of moments like that. But, I mean, for a piece of TV, I was just watching it with a grin on my face and I was so hooked. Like, I started watching the first episode and I was doing something else. I was just, doing something on my computer. And then I put my computer away because I was so interested in what's going on. I didn't think it was going to hook me too much. I underestimated the show, and I'm so glad that I did, by the way, because every single time I'd watch an episode, I'd think, oh, is this going to be the episode where the quality sort of sinks? You know, pun intended there. But actually, it didn't. Somehow, each episode hooked me in its own way. And, again, this is not a show that you need to have watched Doctor Who to understand. You know, it's a kind of a Doctor Who spin-off, but it's also a show which exists on its own 2 feet. And I think that's another big plus when it comes to the show. It's another big positive when it comes to the show. I loved The War Between the Land and the Sea, and it shows that there are definitely more stories to tell in the world of Doctor Who. But again, if you're not a Doctor Who fan, you can still enjoy this show. It's thoroughly entertaining when it wants to be. It's engaging, it's compelling, the writing is there, the character relationships are all interesting, and you know what? It is a timely show too that I think gets its message across very well. And so, all in all, as I've already said, and I was going to say once more in this video today, The War Between the Land and the Sea is an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Anyway guys, that's it for today's video. If you have seen The War Between the Land and the Sea, please let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching or listening. Yeah, I suppose you could have listened. Thank you for watching or listening to this video. And if you haven't yet, please click down below and like and subscribe on this video. And look forward to many more videos coming very, very soon on this channel. As I already said, thank you so much for watching this video today. And I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.